Next, I'll explain the special motif 1. For the largest size, there's no special motif 1. You can skip this part. The motif uses one new stitch technique. Single crochet decrease. For the first 9 rounds of this motif, work according to the normal motif 1 method. The remaining part is worked row by row from right to left. After completing the first 9 rounds, you need to cut the yarn. Here, I'll demonstrate the crocheting method after round 9. Here, I'll use this swatch for the demonstration. First, work row 10, on the left side of any corner from the previous round. That is, on the left side of the small flower. Pick the first double crochet position. Insert hook into the stitch and join yarn. Then make 1 beginning chain to start. Work 1 single crochet in the same position. After that, follow the chart to crochet. Continue working until just before the ending single crochet decrease position. When you reach the corresponding position, pick the next 2 adjacent stitches. Work a single crochet decrease. First, make an incomplete single crochet. Insert hook into the left stitch. Yarn over and pull through. This is an incomplete single crochet. In the adjacent stitch, work another incomplete single crochet. Now there are 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and draw through all loops in once. Complete the single crochet decrease. Leave the remaining stitches unworked. Break the yarn. This completes row 10. Move on to row 11. At the starting position of the previous row, pick the first single crochet stitch, and attach the yarn. Then make 3 chain stitches as the turning chain. Continue crocheting to the left following the chart. Complete the last single crochet decrease. Row 11 is completed. Break the yarn. Continue crocheting row 12. At the top of the turning chain from the previous row, insert the hook into both strands of the chain stitch, and attach the yarn. Then make 1 chain stitch as the beginning chain. Correspondingly make 1 single crochet. Then continue crocheting according to the chart. Complete the last stitch. Cut the yarn. Row 12 is completed. Here, hide all yarn tails to the wrong side of the fabric. Everyone please finish this part on your own. So the method for special motif 1 is now complete. Next, we'll explain special motif 2. Again, those making the largest size can skip this section. Here we'll use a new stitch technique, DC2 tog. For the first 12 rounds of the motif, work according to the previous method for motif 2. After completing, crochet 4 leaves and secure them in place. Then continue with the remaining rows using the row by row method. Now I'll demonstrate how to work row 13. Here I'll use this swatch for demonstration. After completing round 12, cut the yarn, then join a new yarn to begin row 13. Find any corner position. Insert the hook into the chain space, and join the yarn. Then make 2 chains as beginning chain. After that, secure the leaves. Pick up the back vertical strand and crochet a slip stitch. Pick up the back vertical strand. Pick up the back vertical strand and crochet a slip stitch. Then move left, following the chart to crochet the corresponding stitches. Pay attention to the next 3 corner positions. Secure the leaves. The securing method is the same as for motif 2. When reaching the starting chain space, insert the hook into the space and work 4 double crochets. Then cut the yarn. This concludes the explanation for row 13. Now crochet row 14 downward. At the position where the leaf was secured in the previous row, pick up the stitch on the left side of the double crochet, and insert the hook to join the yarn. Make 1 chain to start. Correspondingly crochet 1 single crochet. Continue moving left and follow the chart to crochet. Complete the final single crochet decrease position. Then continue left, pick up the stitch, and work 1 slip stitch. Then cut the yarn. Row 14 is complete. Continue to crochet row 15. Join the yarn on the first single crochet of the previous row. Then make 1 chain to start. Pick up the adjacent stitch on the left and crochet 1 single crochet. Continue following the chart afterward. Keep crocheting until right before the double crochet decrease position at the end. Once you reach the corresponding position, pick up the stitch on the left side, and work a double crochet decrease downward. First, pick up the adjacent stitch, and work an incomplete double crochet. Yarn over, insert the hook. Yarn over and pull through. Yarn over and draw through the first 2 loops. That's an incomplete double crochet. Then pick up the next stitch to the left and work another incomplete double crochet. There are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and draw through all loops in once. Complete the double crochet decrease. Cut the yarn. Row 15 is complete. For the next row, row 16, refer to the chart and join the yarn at the corresponding position in the previous row. Then crochet accordingly. After completing the last stitch, cut the yarn. Weave in all ends to the wrong side of the fabric. Everyone please finish it on your own. That concludes the explanation for motif 2. The crocheting of the motif is done. Now move on to sewing and joining. Here, we'll use the whip stitch method. Sew the edges and corners of the motifs together. First, position the motifs correctly according to the finished product effect or the chart. Here it is divided into horizontal sewing and vertical sewing. Start with the horizontal sewing. I begin sewing the 2 motifs on the far right, one on top and one below. Take the corresponding motifs. Here, I'm demonstrating with a small swatch. The swatch motifs can be any style, mainly to demonstrate the technique. First, cut a length of yarn, that's a bit more than twice the length of the sewing position. Thread the yarn into the yarn needle. Then place the fabric with the right side facing up. Match up the sewing positions. Start sewing downwards. Begin at the corner position on the right side of the front piece. Secure the yarn on the back side. Bring the yarn up to the sewing position on top. At this corner position, start sewing at the center chain of the 3 chains. First, bring the yarn to the center chain position. Pick up the top strand of the braid and draw through. Insert into the top strand of the left side chain. Then pick up the back piece. Similarly, start sewing at the centered chain. Pick up the front loop, half stitch, closest to you and draw through. Into the adjacent chain on the left. Pick up the front loop, half stitch, closest to you and insert through. This completes one connection. Then return to the front piece. Insert into the previous insertion point. Pull out through the back half of the stitch on the left. At the back, follow the same insertion sequence. Insert into the previous insertion position. On the left stitch, pull out through the half loop closest to the wrong side of the fabric. Another stitch is sewn. Continue down, inserting into the previous entry point. Exit through the back loop of the adjacent stitch on the left. At the back, repeat the same insertion sequence. After finishing, give a gentle tug to tighten. Continue following this insertion sequence backward. Sequentially pick the front motif and back motif, inserting and sewing them together. This is the method of whip stitch. Follow this way to sew these two motifs completely. If you encounter a beginning chain with multiple chains during the process, when pulling out or inserting the needle, go through the same hole where the previous slip stitch was made. At the corner, continue sewing to the centered chain position. Sew to the center position. Then pick up the corresponding upper and lower two motifs on the left side. Keep the right sides facing out. Wrong sides matching up. Start from the centered chain position at the corner. Insert the hook to begin sewing. Then continue sewing using the previous method. When you encounter a single crochet that previously had a slip stitch, likewise, pick the corresponding position of the stitch to insert the hook. If the yarn is not long enough during sewing, thread the yarn to the back side. Then take a new piece of yarn. Thread the yarn to a slightly lower position underneath. Then tie a knot to join the yarn. Leave the remaining tail on the wrong side for now. Then bring the yarn from the back to the previous stitch position. Continue sewing in the same sequence as before. Sew up to the centered chain position at the corner. After that, using the same method, Continue sewing the remaining motifs. Once finished, thread the yarn to the back side. Then tie several knots to secure it. Hide the remaining yarn tail into the fabric. Everyone complete this part on your own. That's it for the horizontal motif sewing method. Next, we'll explain the vertical sewing. The method is the same as before. Start here from the centered chain at one end corner. Keep sewing up to just before the corner positions of the 4 motifs. When reaching the spot before the centered chain position, pick up the centered chain below and sew one more stitch. Then pick up the centered chains on the left side of 2 motifs. Sew 1 stitch. After sewing like this, there will be no large hole at the corner position. Continue sewing using the previous method from now on. Once completed, hide the yarn end to the wrong side of the fabric. Everyone complete this part on your own. That concludes the explanation for the vertical joining method. And with that, the motif connection is also complete. At this point, the entire motif section has been fully explained. Next, we'll move on to explain the chest piece area. Crochet back and forth along one side of the motif. For the largest size and other sizes, the stitch pattern used is identical. Only the distribution of the stitches differs. From now on, I'll demonstrate using the smallest size as an example. For other sizes, first learn the method, then work following the chart. Please watch my demonstration. Here, I'm demonstrating with a small swatch, with the right side of the motif facing you. Starting from the edge of the right hand motif at the top, insert the hook into one edge stitch and join the yarn. Chain 3 as the beginning chain. Then skip 3 stitches to the left. Pick up 1 position. Crochet 2 double crochets. Two chain stitches. In the same position, continue crocheting 3 double crochets. Then crochet 1 chain space. Skip 3 stitches to the left. Insert the hook into 1 stitch and crochet 1 single crochet, 1 chain space. Then skip 2 stitches to the left. Crochet 3 double crochets. Two chain stitches. In the same position, crochet 3 double crochets. I consider the 3 double crochets on each side and the centered chain stitch as one shell stitch pattern. Crochet 1 chain space downward, then skip 2 stitches, work 1 single crochet. Continue with 1 chain stitch. Skip 2 stitches, work a shell stitch pattern. Alternate crocheting single crochets and shell stitch patterns. Leave 1 chain stitch space between the single crochet and the pattern. Also leave the corresponding stitch count unworked between the 2 techniques. Please refer to the chart for details here. Continue crocheting downward. Finish the last single crochet. Continue with 1 chain stitch. Skip 3 stitches downward. Pick up a stitch and work 3 double crochets. Two chains. In the same position, work 1 double crochet. Finally, pick up the stitch from the same position and the edge stitch. Work a double crochet decrease. This completes the first row. Continue to the second row, make 3 beginning chains. Turn the work. To the left, pick up the chain space of 2 chains. Correspondingly make 1 double crochet. 2 chains. 3 double crochets. Then work a 2 chain space. Downward, pick up the chain spaces of the shell stitch, and work the shell stitch, with a 2 chain space in between. Finally, pick up the chain space of 2 chains. Work 3 double crochets. Two chains. Then pick up the same position, and the second stitch from the left. Work a double crochet decrease. Row 2 is complete. Work row 3 downward. Make 3 beginning chains as turning chain. Turn the work. Pick up the chain space to the left and work 1 double crochet. Chain 1. 3 double crochets. Then work 1 chain. Pick up the chain space between the motifs below. Work 1 single crochet. Chain 1. Correspondingly work a shell stitch above the shell stitch. Work single crochets at the positions between the motifs. Chain 1 space between the single crochet and the motif. Continue crocheting downward. Finally, pick up the chain space at the edge and work 3 double crochets. Chain 1. Then pick up the hole and the stitch on the left. Work a double crochet decrease. Complete row 3. Next, work row 4. Chain 3 as beginning chain. Turn the work. Work 1 chain space down. Pick up the chain space to the left and work 3 double crochets. Continue crocheting according to the chart. Finish the last double crochet, row 4 completed. Move on to row 5. Chain 3 as beginning chain. Turn the work. Work 1 chain space down. Pick up the adjacent space to the left and work 3 double crochets. Then continue crocheting according to the chart. The last double crochet here should be worked into the top of the turning chain from the previous row. If you can't find the exact position, you can also work it into the chain space. This completes row 5. For the remaining rows, continue in this way up to the second to last row. Work the remaining rows using the same method as the first 2 rows. Please complete this part on your own. After completing those, work the final row. Here I'll continue using this swatch for demonstration. First, follow the chart and crochet up to the single double crochet stitch. When you reach the corresponding position, insert the hook into the left side of the single crochet stitch below. Work a double crochet. When crocheting on the wrong side in the previous row, the stitch is located at the upper left. Then work 3 chain stitches. Next, pick up in the chain space of the shell stitch on the left side. Work 1 slip stitch. Then work 3 chain stitches. Next, pick up and work a double crochet in the single crochet stitch on the left side. Continue using this method for all the shell stitches in the middle above. After completing, continue normally working the pattern and chain spaces. Work the last stitch. That's the end of the explanation for this final row. Don't cut the yarn. Continue working on the shoulder neck area. That concludes the explanation for the chest panel area. Now let's move on to explaining the shoulder neck part. Here, we'll work on each side separately. First, continue working on one side of the shoulder neck with the existing yarn. After completing one side, reattach the yarn and work on the other side. Please watch my demonstration. I'll continue using the swatch for this demonstration. Again, I'm demonstrating using the small size as an example. Continue from where we left off with the yarn tail. Start by working row 1. Refer to the chart and work until the last stitch position of this row. Once that's done, row 1 is completed. Leave the remaining stitches unworked. Continue working down to row 2. Work the last stitch. Row 2 is now completed. Then continue crocheting back and forth. Keep going until you reach the second to last row position. My swatch has now reached the corresponding position. Crochet the final row downward. The starting position for this last row has changed. Break the yarn. Then turn your work so the right side of the previous row is facing you, the right side facing you. Then turn your work so the right side of the previous row is facing you. Join the yarn at the top of the turning chain. Or you can directly attach the yarn into this chain space. Then refer to the chart and crochet to the left. Work the last stitch. Cut the yarn. Tuck the yarn tail to the wrong side. One side of the shoulder neck area is now complete. Reattach the yarn lower down, and crochet the other side of the shoulder neck. Position the first row of the completed shoulder neck with the right side facing you. Then refer to the chart to the left. Locate the starting position for the first row of this side of the shoulder neck. Join the yarn there. Then crochet back and forth. The starting position shifts again on the final row. You'll need to reattach the yarn and crochet again. Simply follow the chart to complete this side of the shoulder neck area. Once done, cut the yarn and weave in the ends. That concludes the explanation for the shoulder neck area. Next, we'll crochet the side fabric pieces. Each side of the motif needs to be crocheted separately. One side starts by attaching the yarn at the corresponding position, on the top edge of the motif. Then crochet downward row by row. When you encounter stitches, pick up the stitches. When you reach a corner position, pick up the chain space and insert the hook. You need to join the yarn again at the beginning of each row. After completing each row, fasten off and weave in the ends. And note that each row here is crocheted on the right side. For the other piece, start from the bottom edge of the motif. Crochet upward row by row. Likewise, attach the yarn at the beginning of each row. Finish each row by cutting the yarn and fastening off. No new stitches or techniques are introduced here. Just follow the chart to crochet. That concludes the explanation for the side piece. And with that, the entire front piece assembly is also explained. Now we'll move on to the back piece. It's divided into two areas, the body and the chest panel. Start with a chain cast on, then crochet back and forth along the cast on edge. The technique is similar to the chest panel area of the front piece, except here, no decreases are made at the beginning and end of the body area. For the chest panel area, you'll skip stitches and decrease at the beginning and end. The chest panel area uses two new stitch techniques, combining double crochets and half double crochets in one stitch. And there's also one new technique involved, carrying the yarn across. Please watch my demonstration. First, start with a chain cast on. Then crochet the corresponding number of chains according to the chart. Make sure not to crochet the chains too tightly here. Keep them slightly loose. Once done, begin working on row 1. First, make 1 chain as your beginning chain. Then pick the second chain position from the right moving left. Pick up the strand above the chain loop. Work 1 single crochet. 1 chain space. Next, skip 3 chain positions to the left without crocheting. Pick up the next chain's braid. The strand above. Crochet a shell stitch pattern. After completing, continue with 1 chain space. Skip 3 stitches underneath. Pick the next stitch and work 1 single crochet. In this first row, all stitches are worked by picking up the top strand of the corresponding chain. I won't explain this in detail later on. After completing, continue with 1 chain, then skip 3 stitches. Work 1 shell stitch. Continue crocheting alternately with single crochets and shell stitches, separated by 1 chain space. At the same time, leave 3 stitches unworked between each shell stitch and single crochet. Repeat this process to continue crocheting downward. After completing the last shell stitch, continue with 1 chain downward, skip 3 stitches. Reach the last chain position, make 1 single crochet correspondingly. At this point, row 1 is completed. Continue to row 2, chain 4 to start this round. These 4 chains count as 1 treble crochet, then turn the work. Work 1 chain space downward. Then pick the chain space of each shell stitch, and work a shell stitch into it. Separate the patterns with 2 chain spaces. After completing the last shell stitch, continue with 1 chain, then pick the single crochet position on the edge of the previous row, work 1 treble crochet. Row 2 is completed. Now work row 3, chain 2 to start. Turn the work. Chain 1. Correspondingly make a shell stitch above each shell below. Work a single crochet in the position between the patterns. Separate the single crochet and the pattern with 1 chain. After completing the last shell stitch, continue with 1 chain. Then pick the top of the turning chain from the previous row. Work 1 half double crochet. Or you can work directly into the hole underneath. Row 3 is now complete. At this point, you can put together the 2 pieces to check the width. These 2 fabric pieces have the same width. If there's a significant difference in size, adjust your tension or switch to a different hook size and recrochet. Also check whether the fabric lies flat. If it's slightly uneven, you can gently stretch it out. or recast on and crochet again depending on the situation. Cast on a bit looser this time. Continue crocheting back and forth for the remaining rows of the body following the method of the first 2 rows. The last row has slight changes at both ends. Please pay attention not to make any mistakes with the stitches. If you run out of yarn while crocheting, you can tie a knot to join a new yarn. Place the yarn tail on the wrong side of the fabric. The side with neat stitch texture in the first row is considered the right side of the entire fabric piece. Also, the starting yarn tail is positioned on the left side of the fabric piece. Pick up the new yarn. Tie the 2 yarn tails together close to the back side. Leave the yarn tail for now. Continue crocheting downward. This is the method for joining yarn with a knot. After finishing the body, compare its height to match the width of the front side piece. If the measurements differ significantly, adjust the row count as needed, but make sure the last row matches the chart exactly. Now moving on to explain the chest area. I'll continue using a small swatch for demonstration. If the starting position of row 1 is far from the yarn tail, then rejoin the yarn to continue crocheting. Then turn the wrong side of the last row of the body toward you. Refer to the chart and join the yarn in the corresponding stitch. Then work 3 chain stitches. Next, work a half double crochet and double crochet cluster to the left. First, pick up the left side between the motifs. In the 2 chain space, work an incomplete half double crochet. Then pick up the chain space of the left side shell stitch. Work an incomplete double crochet. Finally, yarn over and draw through all loops on the hook. Complete the half double crochet and double crochet cluster. Continue crocheting according to the chart. Keep crocheting until right before the position of the double crochet and half double crochet cluster. When reaching the corresponding position, pick up the shell stitch hole downward, and the adjacent hole on the left side. Work a double crochet and half double crochet cluster. First, pick up the hole and work an incomplete double crochet. Then pick up the hole on the left side, and work an incomplete half double crochet. Finally, yarn over and draw through in once. Complete the double crochet and half double crochet cluster. Then work 3 chain stitches. Next, pick up the 3rd stitch, among the 3 double crochets on the left side. Work 1 slip stitch. Gently tighten. This completes the first row. Then move on to the second row. The starting position has changed. The crochet position here is quite close to the yarn tail. We can use the carrying yarn method. First, stretch the final loop larger. Then pull the yarn ball or fabric through from inside. Slightly tighten. Then turn the work. Move down to find the starting point of the second row. Insert into stitches and pick up a stitch. Back body. Insert into stitches and pick up a stitch. Pull the yarn through. The yarn pulled out here should be level with the edge of the fabric. This is the carrying yarn method. Everyone can also join new yarn and continue crocheting. Crochet 3 chain stitches downward. The remaining part can be crocheted following the chart. From here on, simply follow the chart for crocheting. Pay attention to the centered stitch pattern on the second to last row, as it will change. On the last row, you'll need to crochet each side separately. For some sizes, you'll need to join new yarn on both sides again. For some sizes, continue crocheting one side using the previous yarn tail, then join new yarn to crochet the other side. Everyone can complete this part on their own. Once completed, fasten off the yarn and weave in the ends. That concludes the explanation for the chest area. And with that, the entire back body crocheting is also completed. Next, we'll proceed with the joining. This includes shoulder connections and body connection. First, we'll do the shoulder connections. Here, I'm demonstrating with a small swatch. Match up the shoulders of the front and back pieces. Place the right sides of the fabric together, with both wrong sides facing outward. Then join yarn at one side edge. Here, thread it through both fabric pieces at the same time. Then work 3 chain stitches. Next, skip a length of 3 chain stitches to the left. Pick up both pieces and work 1 slip stitch. When reaching a chain position, insert the hook into the chain space. When reaching a stitch, insert the hook into the stitch. Crochet accordingly. After completing, continue with 3 chain stitches. Skip a similar length. Work 1 slip stitch. Repeat this process all the way down. Finish crocheting the slip stitches along the edge. You can flip it to the right side to check the joining effect on both sides. The patterns on both sides match up roughly. The fabric lies flat. Cut the yarn when the result fits properly. Hide the yarn tail inside the fabric. Complete this part on your own. One shoulder connection is now done. The other side is the same method. Complete it yourself. That concludes the explanation for the shoulder joining. Next, we'll move on to joining the body. Also use slip stitches and 3 chain stitches to connect. Place the wrong sides of the 2 fabric pieces facing outward. Then start from the edge of the body. Pick up gaps, or insert hook into stitches. On the front piece, pick up edge stitches or chain spaces of the side piece. Then join corresponding stitches. Here on the back piece, start from the beginning chain edge. Attach yarn at the stitch insertion point on this side. Then crochet down and continue joining. Keep joining until the last row along the side edge of the body. After finishing, turn to the right side to check the result. If it fits properly, cut the yarn and weave in ends. Complete this part on your own. That's it for joining the body. Now let's move on to the collar edge. Crochet in rounds along the neckline area. You'll need to change colors during this part. Please watch my demonstration. Here, I'm demonstrating with a small swatch. Position the back piece facing toward you, then at the shoulder connection point on the right side. Find the last row's side edge on the left side. Insert hook into the gap along the edge and join yarn. Make 1 beginning chain to start. Work 3 single crochets in the same spot. Downward, pick up stitches along the edge of the fabric piece, or into chain spaces and gaps between stitch techniques. Crochet the corresponding number of single crochets. Leave the shoulder connection spot unworked. Refer to the chart for stitch count and insertion points. My swatch stitch count is not for reference. Continue crocheting downward. Finish the last stitch. Check the stitch count. and make sure the fabric lies flat. If everything is correct, insert hook into the first single crochet, join with a slip stitch, pull tight. The first round is complete. Change colors for the next round. Break the yarn. Crochet round 2. Attach yarn at the corresponding position according to the chart. Then make 3 beginning chains as turning chain. 1 chain space. Skip 3 stitches to the left below. Hook into the next stitch and make 3 double crochets. One chain space. Continue crocheting according to the chart. Finally, crochet 2 double crochets at the joining position. Then pick up the top of the beginning chain, and join with a slip stitch. Pull tight. The second round is complete. Move on to the third round. Make 1 beginning chain to start. Then pick up the chain space to the left and work 1 single crochet. Then crochet 2 chains. In the same position, make 2 double crochets. I consider this crocheted stitch in the chain space as a motif. Continue downward, pick up the chain space, and correspondingly make the motif. Pay attention, the crochet method for the single double crochet on the front body has changed. Everyone please refer to the chart, don't make mistakes. Finish the last motif. Pick up the starting single crochet stitch, and join with a slip stitch. You can either tighten, or knot here. Finally, cut the yarn. Hide the yarn tail to the back. That concludes the explanation for crocheting the collar edge. Next, we'll explain the sleeve edge. Crochet around the sleeve hole position in rounds. Here we use a new stitch technique. A puff stitch made of 4 half double crochets. Please watch my demonstration. First, crochet the first round. Start by referring to the chart. Join the yarn at the corresponding position. Then crochet a single crochet and 3 chain stitches. When encountering the side of a stitch, pick up through the gap. When reaching a chain stitch position, insert the hook into the hole. For specific insertion points and stitch count, please refer to the chart. Everyone can complete this part on their own. Once completed, cut the yarn. After completing the previous round, crochet the second round. Here I'll use this swatch to demonstrate. Insert the hook into the chain space on the left side of the starting position of round 1 to join the yarn. Then make 3 chain stitches as the beginning chain. Next, work 2 chain stitches as a space. In the same position, work 1 double crochet. Then move left and work 1 double crochet into the next chain space. 2 chain stitches. 1 double crochet. From here on, all stitches will be worked into the chain spaces. 2 double crochets and 2 chain stitches. Refer to the chart for details. After completing the last stitch, join with a slip stitch into the top of the beginning chain. Pull tight. Cut the yarn. The second round is complete. Now crochet round 3 downward. At the starting position of the previous round, insert the hook into the chain space to join the yarn. Make 1 beginning chain to start. Correspondingly make 1 single crochet. Then work 5 chain spaces as a bridge. Skip 1 chain space to the left. Insert hook into the next space and work 1 slip stitch. Then work 3 chains. Into the next chain space, work a bobble stitch of 4 half double crochets. From now on I'll simply call it a bobble stitch. First, work 4 incomplete half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. Finally, yarn over and draw through all loops on the hook in once. Complete the bobble stitch, then work 3 chain stitches. Insert hook into the chain space below and work 1 slip stitch. I'll count this stitch worked into the space as 1 bobble stitch pattern. Continue with 5 chain spaces. Then skip 1 chain space. Insert hook into the next space and work 1 single crochet. 5 chain spaces. Skip 1 space, insert into the next space and work a bobble stitch pattern. First, work 1 slip stitch into the space. Then work 3 chain stitches, followed by the bobble stitch. After completing, work 3 chain stitches. Insert hook into the bobble stitch position and work 1 slip stitch. Complete the bobble stitch pattern. Continue onward, leaving 1 space between each. Alternate crocheting single crochet and bobble stitch pattern. Separate single crochet and pattern with 5 chain stitches. Refer to the chart for details. Continue crocheting downward. Complete the last 5 chain stitches. Skip the final space. Insert hook into the first single crochet position and join with a slip stitch. Pull tight. Cut the yarn. The third round is complete. Continue to crochet the fourth round. Join the yarn in the chain space on the left side of the starting position from the previous round. Then make 3 beginning chains as turning chain. Work 5 double crochets in the same position. One single crochet. After completing, crochet 3 chains. Next, pick up the bobble stitch pattern from the previous round. Press the pattern down here. Then pick up the chain space on the left side of the pattern. Work 1 single crochet. Five double crochets. Then pick up the same position and below. The chain space between the single crochets. Make 1 single crochet together. After completing, return to the bobble stitch pattern. Pick up on the right side of the bobble stitch. Exactly the small hole directly above the bobble. Insert hook and work 5 double crochets. After completing, pick up the chain space of the 3 chains on the left side and the chain space between the single crochet below the insertion point of the previous single crochet. Insert hook and work 1 single crochet. Then pick up the chain space of the 3 chains and work 5 double crochets. One single crochet. After that, work 3 chain stitches. Go back to the top. Pick up the chain space of the previous round on the left side. Work 1 single crochet. 6 double crochets. I will treat the crocheted part as a group. Work 2 chain spaces down. Then I'll demonstrate another group. First, pick up the chain space on the left and work 6 double crochets. 1 single crochet, 3 chains. Then push the puff stitch pattern down. Pick up the chain space of the 3 chains on the left side, and work 1 single crochet, 5 double crochets. Then pick up the same position again, and the chain space between the single crochets underneath. Work 1 single crochet together. Then pick up the small hole above the puff stitch. Work 5 double crochets. Pick up the chain space of the 3 chains on the left, and the chain space between the single crochets underneath. Insert the hook and work 1 single crochet. Then pick up the chain space of the 3 chains again. Work 5 double crochets. One single crochet. Then work 3 chain stitches. Go back to the top. Pick up the left chain space. Work 1 single crochet. 6 double crochets. Another group is completed. Continue onward, crocheting each group accordingly. With 2 chain stitches between each group. Refer to the chart for details. Continue crocheting downward. After finishing the last group, continue with 2 chain stitches. Then insert hook into the top of the beginning chain and slip stitch. Pull tight, cut the yarn. Round 4 is completed. Start crocheting round 5 downward. At the chain space on the right side of the starting position of the previous round, find the corresponding single crochet stitch from round 3 below. Insert hook into its stitch. Wrap the upper chain into the stitch as well. Then join the yarn. Make 1 beginning chain to start. Work 2 single crochets in the same position. After completing, crochet 5 chains as a bridge. Pick up the left side of the crossing chain stitch adjacent. Insert hook into the space below and work 2 single crochets. 5 chains as a bridge. Move left and pick the corresponding single crochet position underneath the chain. Work 2 single crochets. Wrap the upper chain into the stitch. After completing, make 5 chains as a bridge. Then pick the left side of the crossing chain stitch position. Work 2 single crochets. Next, work into the single crochet position of the third round, and the position where the previous round's chain crosses. Work 2 single crochets in each position. After completing, make 5 chains as a bridge. Continue crocheting following this pattern. Finish the last 5 chains. Slip stitch into the first stitch position. Pull tight. Cut the yarn. Round 5 is complete. Now start round 6. At the left side chain space of the starting position from the previous round. Insert hook into the edge stitch below. This is where the beginning chain is. Insert hook into the same position as the previous slip stitch. Wrap the upper chain into the stitch. Join the yarn. Make 1 beginning chain to start. Work 1 single crochet in the same position. Then work 7 double crochets into the upper chain. Then stitch in the chain space below. Back ridge of the leftmost double crochet. Pick up 1-2 strands to insert the hook. Place the upper chain on top and wrap it in. Then work 1 single crochet. I treat the crocheted stitches in this space as a group. From now on, repeat this group's method to crochet. The first and last stitch of each group here, need to stitch in the chain space below. 1 stitch on the edge of the 7 double crochets. Pick up 1-2 strands on the back to insert the hook. Wrap the upper chain into the stitches. Finish the last group. Slip stitch into the first single crochet position. Here you can leave it not too tight. Finally fasten off. Enlarge the loop on the crochet hook, leaving a little yarn tail. Cut the yarn. Then count 2 stitches to the left from the slip stitch insertion point. Insert the hook from behind into the corresponding stitch. Draw the reserved yarn through. Then insert from behind into the center of the chain formed by the slip stitch. Pull the yarn through. Adjust slightly. Secure the yarn tail on the wrong side. Pick up the adjacent position and work 1 chain stitch. secure and complete. Weave in the remaining yarn tail into the fabric. This completes the 6th round. And that's all for crocheting the cuff edge. Finally, crochet the bottom edge. Refer to the chart and insert the hook at the corresponding position to join the yarn. Then work in rounds. On the first round, pick up stitches where there are stitches. When encountering stitch techniques, pick up the gaps along the side edges. When encountering a chain stitch position, pick up the chain space and insert the hook. Then crochet the corresponding stitch. For rounds 2 to 6 after that, the technique is the same as the cuff edge. Everyone can simply follow the chart to crochet. That concludes the explanation for crocheting the bottom edge. Up to this point, the entire vest making process has been fully explained. If there are still unclear parts during your crocheting process, don't hesitate to join our Facebook group to get supports. Susan's Family. Supporting your handwork experience. Sharing the joy of life. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.